They are making sure that the person they chose is Protestant.
They're making sure that they choose a Protestant. But why is this a difficult choice?
There are many male heirs to choose from.
Yeah, and certainly not many Protestant male heirs. I just actually don't see any on this list that are going to work. What did you guys say, Nick?
Mostly because Jane is a Protestant and Mary is not. Also, they think that Jane can have a son to be the king, to be the next king.
Right, and this fits everybody because the son would be Protestant, and John. And why does John Dudley really like the idea of Jane Grey becoming the next queen, Jay?
She is probably the most viable option out of all of them, and plus she can marry his son.
John Dudley decides not only is Jane Grey a great choice because of her Protestant upbringing, Jane Grey also very well educated, and also Jane Grey just happened to have married Guildford Dudley, John Dudley's son. And John Dudley's thinking, well, we've never had a queen regnant before in England. Maybe my son would really have the power of a king. And of course, Jane and Guildford's children would be the next rulers of England, basically moving the throne into Dudley's family. And this is something he really wants as well. I spoke about when I was visiting the ladies group. Why do you think Henry did this? Remember, Henry said that when he dies, first Edward, then Mary, then Elizabeth would be the next rulers of England. And if all of them die without children, it goes to the line of Henry VIII's younger sister, Mary. And that's where we get down to the Grey family. But look over here. Isn't this interesting? Henry VIII said that if his children cannot rule, it goes to his sister Mary. Mary was born in 1496. This doesn't really seem to fit the rules also. It should go to the line of his oldest sister, Margaret, who was born all the way back in 1489, 7 years older than Mary. Why do you think Henry did not want Margaret's line to rule England? What do you think, Jay?
Queen of Scots.
Margaret had been married to James IV, King of Scotland. And you might not remember this, but at the Battle of Flodden Field, when Henry was down fighting France in the Battle of the Spurs, Catherine helped to send an army up to defeat Scotland at the Battle of Flodden Field, where James IV, Margaret's husband, the King of Scotland, was killed. But they had had children before they died. So Margaret's line was actually the ruling family of Scotland. James IV and their child, James V, eventually marry Queen of Scots, who's going to be the big rival of Elizabeth. And so Henry doesn't choose Margaret's line because he doesn't want the King of Scotland to also become King of England. You see this? So Henry was also cheating. That's why he picked his younger sister's line to be the next ruler, not his oldest sister, because his younger sister had gotten married to Henry's best friend, Charles Brandon. And he's just fine with their line ruling England. He's not okay with the Scottish ruling family becoming the English ruling family.